Nowadays, Forest Glen is a suburban community surrounding a metro stop of the same name. But there's a rich history here. With the coming of the railroad in 1873, businessmen saw great opportunities for developing the area.
In 1887, a group of men came from Washington, D.C. to look at an area of land, which we're in today, Forest Glen, and they hoped to develop it. They hoped to sell palatial homes, as they were first described. And the first thing they did was build this wonderful inn behind us. It was designed by a local architect named Thomas Franklin Schneider, a very famous architect in the city. Originally, it was only 100 feet wide in front of us. So from that tower you see there, imagine about 100 feet off towards the east. And that was the original front of the inn. And then it extended about another 75 feet behind it.
In addition to the Ye Forest Inn, the Forest Glen Improvement Company built this three-story home called Braemar. This was the model home designed to entice potential buyers. The inn didn't do very well. Because it wasn't attracting a lot of summer patrons, a steam heating plant was added, making the resort year-round. They also tried another scheme.
They instilled alcohol and gambling here in Forest Glen, and that was really against the wishes of Father Rosenstiel over at St. John's Catholic Church right across the Glen. Well, that didn't help much either, and it kind of distracted from the original family plans of this area. And they decided just to board it up and see what would happen.
Around the same time, John and Vesta Cassidy, principals of Norfolk College in Virginia, were looking for property in the Maryland suburbs. They wanted to build a finishing school and found the Ye Forest Inn to be the perfect spot. On September 27, 1894, the National Park Seminary opened its doors.
The Cassidys had a lot of support from the alums of the Norfolk College for Women, which was what they ran before they came up here. And those alums sent their daughters up to school here, and gradually it grew, and it really blossomed into much more than they ever thought it would be. And by the Roaring '20s, the golden years of the school, you had names like Hershey, Chrysler, Kraft, Spreckles, Warner. They all went to school here. It's very well-to-do, a very well-to-do school, and it was a finishing school. The girls didn't have to go to college for an education. They had to go to college to learn how to be social matrons.
The Cassidys believed that the way to learn about culture and beauty was to live among it. What were once gambling halls and pool rooms were transformed into parlors and classrooms, elegantly appointed with the finest furniture of the time. In addition, they added the most architecturally unique buildings on the campus, the 8 sorority houses. There's the Swiss Chalet, the English Garden Castle, the Japanese Bungalow, the Dutch Windmill, the American Bungalow, the Spanish Mission, the Colonial House, and the Pagoda.
The second owner of the school was Dr. James Ament, and the mark that he left on this school was to embellish it. He put many decorative items on the buildings, connected the walkways, even more so that the girls can walk from one end of the campus to the other without being exposed to weather. He added the more statues on the roof line of the buildings and so on. The third owner of the school was Dr. Roy Tasco Davis, who came in the late 30s, and he was the one who brought the school's educational philosophy up into modern times, made the school more business-oriented, actually changed the name of the school to National Park College, so it became an official junior college for women.
It was during this time that June Saylor was a student.
Well, it was a very special experience. Every Monday night they had a formal dinner, and you would dress in a formal dress, and the teacher hostess at your table of 8 or 10 would be in a formal dress, and you would sit down and be served. You would sit down and be served at the table of 8 or 10 every night, but not in formal attire. So this was just so you'd know how to eat with the proper forks and so forth, I guess. And of course the campus was very lovely and beautifully kept, and you could walk over these covered walkways, or there were roses growing on trellises, and it was very, very pretty campus to walk around.
Just after June's graduation in 1942, the National Park College closed its doors to become part of the war effort.
The school was taken over in 1942 in a very quick procedure under the War Powers Act. The main Walter Reed campus is only 2 miles from here, and they needed more space for wounded soldiers and rehab space, so they heard about the school and took it. The Army, Walter Reed Army Medical Hospital, then used this campus, the school campus, for a hospital until all the way through World War II, Vietnam, Korea. The last patients were here in the late 70s when a new hospital was built on the main campus of Walter Reed.
After the patients moved out, the buildings were used for housing and office space, but maintaining them is a heavy financial burden, and today most of them are closed.
This site was put on the National Register of Historic Places in 1972 by the state of Maryland. I think you'll see in just visiting the campus and seeing pictures that this is a wonderful collection of a variety of architectural styles. And that collection in one place is so unique and special, and that's what makes this probably nationally significant.
Today, a local group known as Save Our Seminary, or SOS for short, is working to breathe new life into this site.
SOS has been, I guess you would call the watchdog for this place. We are a preservation organization. Our mission is to first preserve what we can here and see that it is preserved for future use. Secondly, we want to educate people about what this place is. And third, we want to guide its future. We feel it's so important to save it and enjoy it and use it. It's such a special place.